Hey guys! In today's video I'll be talking about my favorite calligraphy supplies and recommendations. Let's start off with brush pens, and the first one I want to mention aren't really brush pens, they're the CRAYOLA markers. Since they are markers instead of brush pens, they're a lot firmer and easier to use, which makes them great for beginners. Plus they're really affordable and can be found in a lot of different stores. Although the tips aren't really that flexible, you can still bend them to get a good range of line variation. For actual brush pens, my first recommendation is the TOMBOW dual brush pens. These have a pretty flexible tip, so they're not the easiest to use, but they're really smooth and just pleasant to use and write with. Another reason I really like them is the color range. They have 96 different colors, and a lot of them are very muted and pretty. Out of the two brush pens I'm mentioning, this one has a wider tip. The thinner one I recommend are the PENTEL FUDE Touch brush pens, and this is the brush pen that I use for the headers on my notes. I honestly don't know how else to describe the positive aspects of a brush pen, besides that it's really smooth and I enjoy writing with it. Next up is paper, which is really important for calligraphy, but it's often an unsung hero. My favorite sketchbook that I've used is the STILLMAN & BIRN EPSILON series sketchbooks. The paper is really smooth so it doesn't damage brush pens, and it's thick enough and of good quality to be used with watercolor. Another option is the HP LaserJet Premium Choice 32-pound printer paper, which is more affordable and still is very smooth, making it ideal for using with brush pens. Moving along to dip pen and watercolor supplies. I combined these because usually I use watercolors in my dip pens. My top nib recommendation is the BRAUSE Blue Pumpkin Nib. It has medium flexibility, so it's easy enough to use for beginners and it offers a lot of line variation. Also, the bowl holds a lot of ink, which is very handy. Next, moving on to nib holders, and honestly a lot of them are pretty much the same to me, but I really like this one from Louis Creations, the MOBLIQUE nib holder, because it can be switched between a straight and an oblique nib holder. So you don't have to buy two tools, you only need to use this one. Also, the colors of this nib holder are really pretty. Next, for actual watercolors, I recommend the ECOLINE watercolor jars. I find it really convenient to have the watercolors already in a jar instead of needing to add water to a tube or a pan. The ECOLINE watercolors are also very vibrant and the colors are nice, and these are good watercolors in general. For brushes, I honestly don't know that much about brushes, but the ones that I use the most often and I really enjoy are the PENTEL water brushes. Like the ECOLINE jars, I really like them for their convenience factor as well, since you don't necessarily have to carry around water if you have a water brush. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like calligraphy tips or links to the supplies, be sure to check out the description. I upload new videos every Monday, and you can see photos of my calligraphy on my Tumblr and Instagram, which are both at studyquill. See you next time!